Isaiah 13:1-22 is known as the oracle concerning Babylon. This passage is a prophecy about the fall of Babylon, an empire renowned for its grandeur and power. The main themes in this chapter are God's sovereignty, judgment, and the transitory nature of earthly kingdoms. God's sovereignty is evident in the way he orchestrates the downfall of Babylon. Here Isaiah is not merely predicting, he is proclaiming a divine decree. This passage reminds us that God is in control of all things, including the rise and fall of nations. The theme of judgment is also prevalent in this chapter. Babylon, despite its power and glory, is not exempt from God's judgment. The city's downfall is a direct consequence of its pride and arrogance. This serves as a stark reminder that God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. Lastly, the transitory nature of earthly kingdoms is a theme that Isaiah 13:1-22 underscores. Babylon, once a symbol of power and splendor, eventually fell into ruins. This highlights the fleeting nature of worldly power and glory. Moving on to Romans 9:14-26, Apostle Paul grapples with questions of God's justice and mercy. This chapter's main themes are God's sovereignty, his mercy, and the inclusion of the Gentiles in his salvation plan. God's sovereignty, much like in Isaiah 13, is a recurring theme here. Paul emphasizes that God is sovereign in showing mercy and compassion. He reminds us that God's ways are not our ways, and his thoughts are not our thoughts. The theme of God's mercy is closely tied to his sovereignty. Paul explains that God has mercy on whom he wills, and whom he wills, he hardens. This serves to remind us that God's mercy is not a right we can claim, but a gift he freely gives. Finally, the theme of the inclusion of the Gentiles in God's salvation plan is presented. Paul cites Hosea, revealing how God extends his mercy to those not initially his people. This theme underscores the vastness of God's love and the universality of his salvation plan. As we reflect on these themes, it becomes apparent how deeply they resonate with our lives today. We are reminded of the sovereignty of God, who is in control of all things. We are encouraged to humble ourselves, knowing that pride precedes a fall and that God's judgment is certain. We are also reminded of God's unmerited mercy and his all-encompassing plan of salvation. Ponder these themes, reflect on their relevance to your life. Remember, the Word of God is alive and active. It cuts to the heart and brings transformation. May these reflections lead to a deeper understanding of God's character and his desire for your life. Remember, for in him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17:28. Until next time, stay blessed and stay inspired.